Welcome back. Welcome back to this wonderful week. This is Black Wall Street Chronicles, and I am your host, Mr. Jeffrey Frazier. Yeah, unfortunately, on this April Fool's Day, we got to talk about some foolish news. A great rapper from the West Coast that was actually doing wonderful things for the community was going around the world, and he went to the continent of Africa, and he also was going all across the globe, and he was basically talking about uplifting his people. And unfortunately, we lost a rapper. His name is NIpsey Hustle. He was 33 years old. He left the world, and he went into paradise yesterday because of he went into paradise yesterday. And the thing that annoys me about the situation is that you have these conspiracy theorists saying, oh, it was a setup, it wasn't gang violence. Let me tell you something. It wasn't gang violence, it was a conspiracy theory. No, it was actually very simple. We have some disgusting people within our community. And the reason why we have disgusting people in our community, because it's the product of the systematic racist society that we live in. So this rat went and killed Nipsey Hussle allegedly when he had a kid in his hand. And this dude went on Instagram and brags about it. This is the type of world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the type of things that goes on in our community, and is actually very sad. So the question that we have to ask tonight is, why is it that we have crab in a barrel mentality in our community? Why is it that we have group of black men and black women, and I hate to use the word savages, but I don't understand what other words should be used in this situation. This is terrible, and the reason why we can't kick these people out of the community and make sure that they leave is because we do not have the economic power, and we do not have the economic control to get the court of law to get these people out of the community. It seems that they allow the rats and they allow the roaches to basically tear up our community, and then they kill the innocent black people that's actually doing something. Anybody that has the potential to leave, anybody that has the potential to get out, seems to be killed. And it's something that we have to figure out to prevent. First, we got to talk about the things that goes on in the psychological issues. Today, I'm going to talk about a psychiatrist by the name of Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow has this theory called the hierarchy of needs. And he says that any human being in society that is not able to achieve their hierarchy of needs, there's a possibility that they can have a psychological breakdown. And then when we come back a little bit later, we're going to go into commercial break, and then when we come back, I'm going to basically break down the hierarchy of needs. Thank you very much. We'll be back shortly. Hello, it's Jeffrey Frazier, Black Wall Street Chronicles. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier I gave rest in peace to the great Nipsey Hustle. And to talk about how we have crabs in a barrel in the community and the issues inside our community cause it. So we have to talk about the psychological aspects. And I mentioned a psychiatrist by the name of Abraham Maslow, and he had this theory called hierarchy of needs that basically puts down that if a human being does not achieve these needs, then they are going to be in a situation where they're going to be destitute and desperate and do some terrible things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a brief biography of Abraham Maslow, who he is, and his hierarchy of needs. Abraham Harold Maslow lived from April 1st, 1908 to June 8, 1970. He was an American psychiatrist who was best known for creating Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a theory of psychological health predicated on fulfillment innate human needs and priority culminating in self-actualization. Maslow was a psychiatry professor at Alien International University, Brandeis University, and Brooklyn College New School for Social Research, and Columbia University. He stressed the importance of focusing on the positive qualities of people, as opposed to treating them as a bag of symptoms. A review of General Psychiatry survey published in 2002 ranked Maslow as the 10th most cited psychiatrist of the 20th century. Born in 1908 and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Maslow was the oldest of 7 children. His parents were the first generalization Jewish immigrants to Kiev, then part of the Russian Empire, who fled from Tsarist persecution in the early 20th century. They had decided to live in New York City and in a multi-ethnic working-class neighborhood. His parents were poor and not intellectually focused, but they valued education. He had various encounters with anti-Semitic gangs who would chase and throw rocks at him. Maslow and other young people with his background were struggling to overcome such acts of racism and ethnic prejudice in an attempt to establish an idealistic world based on widespread education and economic justice. This tension outside his home was also felt within it, as he rarely got along with his mother and eventually developed a strong revolution towards her. He quoted as saying, "What I had reacted to was not only her physical presence, but also her values and worldview, her stinginess, her total selfishness, her lack of love for anyone else in the world, even her own husband and children. Her narcissism, her Negro prejudice, her exploitation of everyone, her assumption that anyone was wrong who disagreed with her, her lack of friends, her sloppiness and dirtiness." He also grew up with a few friends other than his cousin Will as a result. He grew up in libraries among books. It was here that he developed his love for reading and learning. He went to Boys High School, one of the top high schools in Brooklyn. Here he served as the officer to many academic clubs and became editor of the Latin magazine. He also edited Principia, the school's physics paper, for a year. He developed other strengths as well. As a young boy, Maslow believed physical strength to be the single most defining characteristic of a true male. Hence, he exercised and often took up weightlifting in hopes of being transformed into a more muscular, tough-looking guy. However, he was able to achieve due to his humble looking and chest feature, as well as his studiousness. It's interesting. So, reading this man's biography, you basically figure out that this man was Jewish and he was basically victim of racism. And also, he had a mother that was racist towards black people, which makes sense why he would create a hierarchy of needs and a concept of a hierarchy of needs in American society. And the reason why he has that theory, because he understands as a Jewish man that sees racism not only towards his people, towards the racism towards black people. He understands that the need, if a person is not accepted, then they go into psychological, emotional breakdowns. Okay, let's talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the theory itself. Now, what I'm going to do is when I post this on my Facebook page and I post it on YouTube, I'm going to put a pyramid, because in this hierarchy of needs, he basically has a pyramid basically showing the levels of importance of what a human being needs. The first level of the pyramid is physiological. The second level is safety. The third level is love and belonging. The fourth level is esteem. And the fifth level is self-actualization. Okay? Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory psychology proposed by Abraham Maslow in his 1943 paper of Theory of Human Motivation in his Psychological Review. Maslow subsequently extended the idea to include his observation of humans' innate curiosity. His theories parallel many other theories of human developmental psychology, some of which focus on describing the stages of growth in humans. Then he decided to create a classification system which he reflected the universal needs of society as its base, and then proceeding to more acquired emotions. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is used to study how humans intrinsically partake in behavioral motivation. Maslow used terms of psychological, physiological safety, belonging and love, social needs or esteem, and self-actualization to describe the pattern through which human motivations generally move. This means that in order for motivation to occur at the next level, each level must be satisfied within the individual themselves. Furthermore, this theory is the key foundation in understanding how drive and motivation are correlated when discussing human behavior. Each of these individual levels contain a certain amount of internal sensation that must be met in order for an individual to complete their hierarchy. The goal in Maslow's theory is to attain the fifth level or stage, self-actualization. Okay. So basically it says here that he created the hierarchy of needs because he wanted to find out the curiosity of human beings and what motivates them. And you find out that, and he basically found out through his studies that the things that motivate human beings is physiological, safety, loving, esteem, and self-actualization. So when we get back, we're going to break down what these 5 levels of hierarchies is, and we're going to break down how it plays into the state of the African American community and what we can do to basically figure out how we can use this theory to better our lives. Thank you. Be back shortly.
must be a channel, you watching my every move. They all failing, that means they all trailing. Watching from afar, that's surveillance. We don't handle the same, pass me the rock. You can pivot all you want, we don't travel the same. I got the mind of a savage. I grew up knowing that if I wanted, I could have it. I ain't never been a parent. You study my speech, you not to repeat. You heard I was leaking in Paris, then you started to reach. Time to show them what's real. You've been rapping about Netflix and chill. Me, I'm trying to network for deals. Those Jamaicans like Empire, trying to smash Cookie and build my empire. Talking to God, they be looking like their sire. Now can you dig it like I'm Cyrus? Homie, stop trying, yeah. I know you haters watching while you get your hate on. Doing everything you be seeing rayon. You know I've been shining, watch you get your shade on. You can keep watching from your telescope. Homie, I'm the man this year, damn you near a fatal collision while you had to steer. Maybe we're meant to be here, let me make this clear. We ain't in the same hemisphere. Shorties love me cause I'm hung like a chandelier. Never hit it raw, shorty goes around like a spear. Back full of marks, them claws had me in tears. I bust that and had her in all, shorty she had a cheer. I hope you keep your eyes open, you can start hoping that a nigga falls. I know you wanna see me crawl. As long as I'm rolling on, you guys know it. You never see a nigga slipping on my back against the wall. Look, I get better with every verse. I've been at it since 13, you know I seen the worst. That's right. Yeah, I be doing it well. You can follow these footsteps, but you never fit in these 12s. Right. I know you haters watching while you get your hate on. Doing everything you be seeing rayon. You know I've been shining, watch you get your shade on. You can keep watching from your telescope.
Good evening. We're back again. Black Wall Street Chronicles. We're having a good episode, man. When I break this hierarchy of needs down with Nipsey Hustle, we're going to basically figure out all the things that Nipsey Hustle was able to achieve before he died, and why we have disgusting people who happen to be in his neighborhood that are jealous of Nipsey Hustle. And why they are motivated to kill such a prolific young man who's basically in the same age range as me. Doesn't make me feel good. Doesn't make me feel good at all. So we're going to break this down. Now earlier I talked about Abraham Maslow. Now, the reason why I'm so interested in Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because when I was in college, I actually did a report on Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I actually have an A+, and it really gravitated towards me because there's times when I struggle with anxiety and have depression and I lack motivation. And then when I was reading on Abraham Maslow, I was actually, you can basically, there's a list in a way that you can find a way to motivate yourself to the things that you need. So let's break down Nipsey Hussle's hierarchy of needs and how he achieved them. And once we analyze how he achieved them, we're going to talk about why we have rats in our communities that is jealous of Nipsey Hussle. First level of the hierarchy of needs is physiological. Now, the physiological need of any human being is air, water, food, and sex. Okay, these are the four things. These are the four basic needs of the human being is physical. Now, Nipsey Hussle actually was able to achieve that no problem. And the reason why he's able to conquer that hierarchy of need, because he was able to become a successful rapper where he doesn't have to worry about getting the physical things that a human being needs. This man has access to air, he has access to water, he has access to food, and being that he's a famous rapper, he has no problem receiving sex from many beautiful women in the entertainment industry. Now, the second level of the hierarchy of needs is safety, which is very interesting. He actually achieved safety. He actually felt safety. See? That right there. That lets you know that he didn't achieve the hierarchy of needs that he needed. Because the next hierarchy of needs that a human being hierarchy of needs that a human being has to get is safety. He has to find safety with herself, and he has to find safety in his family. Now, the one way that you're able to find safety is you have to worry about shelter, worry about the place to live. He was able to achieve the place to live. He was able to achieve residual income from hip-hop. He was able to achieve many things, but he still, because he got into his fist fight with somebody in the community, he got killed. So the question that we need to ask, do we as black people, to save the community, do we have to leave it? Do we stay? Because if we stay in the community, there's a high possibility that we have jealous individuals who won't make us feel safe. That's interesting. The next level of the hierarchy of needs is love and belonging. He had the love and the respect from his friends and his family, and he also had the love from a beautiful woman who's actually a beautiful black woman and a phenomenal actress. We all know her as Nunu from the T.I. movie, and she's actually a very beautiful woman, and they're charming, and they seem to have a loving relationship. And I feel so bad for that woman, that the father of her child is actually not around anymore. The fourth level of the hierarchy of needs is esteem. You not only have to feel self-esteem for yourself, you have to also be respected for your peers. Now, many members of the African American community, outside and inside community, respected this man. This man had esteem from his peers. Even if you didn't listen to hip-hop, we understand that this dude was a good dude that was actually doing good things for the community. And it's a damn shame that he's not here anymore. And the last hierarchy of needs is self-actualization, where you actually are able to analyze yourself to achieve a higher form of thinking. And the fact that this man was working with Dr. Sebi, the fact that this man was talking about doing things for the African American community, the fact that this man went back to Africa, being that he's Eritrean, he's half Eritrean, so he went back to Africa. So he's talking about Pan-Africanism. He's trying to uplift the whole African diaspora in his own way. So this man actually achieved self-actualization. And this is probably the reason why people are jealous of him, because this man, you have many members of our community that can't even get past the first level of the hierarchy of needs. Like, there are people in our community who are so broke, they can't afford water, they can't afford the proper food, and they do not have sexual access to many of the beautiful women because they're broke and they don't have no money. And that right there builds envy, and it builds jealousy. So when they see the black man that has the things that they want, that they're motivated to get, and they're not able to get it, they actually will try to snatch it from. They'll actually try to kill that black man or snatch that black man's food. We actually have wolves in the street right now that's looking to rob rich people. Matter of fact, there was a rapper. I can't think of the rapper's name, but there was this rapper who went to the Bronx, and you got these guys that basically stole this rapper's chain. And it was a big outcry because you had, what's the guy's name? From Houston? That mogul from Houston that had, basically there was this big mogul hood person from Houston, and I'm not into hip hop, but he basically got mad and he basically called all the Bronx rappers to get the person's, Jay Prince. Nah, I get it. Yeah, so Jay Prince got mad and he went on the internet and he called the local rappers Mason and to people to risk their lives to get the chain. And the Bronx rappers was basically looking at them like it was crazy. Like, we're not risking our life going into the community dealing with these wolves in the Bronx just to get somebody's chain back. You're going to have to call the authorities, man. That's what happened, The FBI got involved, and now these goons, these men who are basically have nothing to lose and they're thirsty, they went and robbed them. And this is the thing, you have to stay away from individuals who have nothing to lose. I mean, the second hierarchy you need is safety. You have to think about once you're done getting the bare necessities that you want as a human being, which is air, water, food, and access to sex, then you have to start thinking about protecting your money, protecting yourself, and you also have to start thinking about saving money so you can leave something for your kids for the future. You have to be safe. It's crazy. They was jealous of this man because he had everything. They see him as having everything that he can want, and they're not able to get that things himself. And the reason why they're not able to get those things themselves is because they live in a ghetto and they have nothing. They're not able to get their their physical needs. They're not able to have proper safety. They don't feel loving and belonging for others. Like, they're not receiving esteem for anxiety they're not receiving esteem for society. And how can you actually analyze yourself and achieve a higher form of being when you're basically in a poverty and you're hungry and you're starving and you're just thinking about the physical and primal needs that you have as a man? It's actually very sad. So my question is, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do to motivate our community to get out of a bad situation? Do we save the community? Because if we leave the community and we don't invest in our community, the community is going to be gentrified and there's going to be people that's going to be assed out. That's what's happening in New York City. All the hood rappers left. They could have buy out the hood. But how are you going to buy out the hood? Because when you go on the hood and build these community centers, and then you got these goons that want to shoot you, kill you, and stab you just for clout. It's crazy. Like, you get into the fist fights with one of these rats and you wash them up, and these rats are so much in a sunken place that they can't even take the ass whooping. They can't even humble themselves to take the ass whooping. Instead, they got to get their goons, their guns, their knives, and their bats, and they have to get revenge. Is it because they're in pain? I don't know. We're having a shorter episode today. When we come back, I'm going to close this show off. And I'm going to talk about the things. I'm going to promote a comedy show that I have that I'm going to do on Friday. And I'm basically going to talk about the agenda for what we have next week. And I also going to let people know that this podcast is going to be available on iTunes and Spotify very soon. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll be back shortly.
From the middle of 42nd, I'm blessing another banger by Psychotic. I'm on and I'm wrecking the Punisher beast. This is capital punishment, punished with speaking. Been punished, you cast and make examples out you rappers. Bronx bomber from the city where the greats are from. Chris Rivers, OP Mala Reigns is from. Cuban Link, busy being a Remy Martin. Man, that verse on any up is smoking out forever. Love my city, bright lights and big dreams. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills on the rails. Take it back to 93 instead of 90 for that L. Hip-hop, rap caused the panic. Salute to Queensbridge, the home of Illmatic. And the infamous, can't forget son, Derek G to show that number 2 was number 1. Like when Angie Mall went to power. Flex beefing with Hov, I'm feeling sour. It's still New York City, no effing cowards. Brooklyn, where the people yelling yawa. Fabulous Joel Ortiz, man, them boys are ether. Rest in peace, the birthplace of Aaliyah. High haters, even at the haters loving me, no BK. The birthplace of David Blaine, yo. Papoose drops charades. Meanwhile, the second Sunday in June is the PR parade. Floating through the city, all the people getting lit. Can't forget about Harlem. Shout outs to the dips. Children of the corn showed unity. Now we bumping that diplomatic immunity. Greatness is earned and never borrowed. You sucker MCs won't last in the Apollo. Heavy, Planet Rock, Africa, Bambaataa, Zulu Nation, and Rock Steady. Hardcore, jumping on city trains, graffitied up, B Street. No need to fight, bring out the cardboards. Break dancing, I break them, they ain't advancing. I'm crazy laced with the prancing, get my B-boys dancing. Pardon me bargaining, but the art of me's expanding. Get late to rest, cause I make the best when I'm breaking necks. This ain't a test, I shatter MCs, prepare your tape decks. For that street flow, New York City, all the homies still doing chin numps on the street post. Y'all seen that Fat Joe made them lean back. We started local, became big and went global. Hip-hop gave us a voice and we became vocal. No matter what, I will never front. I may be Jersey, but I'll never forget where I came from. New York, right.
Yes, Black Wall Street Chronicles, ladies and gentlemen. I am your wonderful host, Jeffrey Frazier. Yeah, we're back. I'm just closing things off on the show. First off, I just want to let everybody know that this show, Black Wall Street Chronicles, will be available in iTunes and Spotify very shortly. So once I'll have it available, I'll basically will let everybody know, and I'll have everybody not only follow me on YouTube, but follow me on iTunes and Spotify and Google Play and all those other streaming companies that play podcasts. Now, closing off on the Nipsey Hustle situation, we have to really talk about whether or not we should leave. The only way that we can save the community is we can leave it. But if we leave, we have a gentrification problem, and down the line I have to break down gentrification. Well, actually, I talked about the concept of blockbustering in episode 2, and I believe that blockbustering is just believe gentrification is just another form of reverse blockbustering. Okay, these white people are not able to live in their gated communities anymore, and they're not able to pay off their mortgages because the gated communities are too expensive. So they're gentrifying their neighborhoods to move back into the ghetto. And the thing is, all the other communities are able to protect themselves from this because they own their own businesses and you can circulate money within the community. But black people, being that we don't own our own business, which is done by design by this country, we're not able to protect ourselves. So how can we ask the rappers and the athletes and the entertainers to come back in the community when we know that we have wolves and we have savages that will steal, shoot, and kill these individuals for jealousy? That's something we have to talk about within the inside. But anyway, I'm performing at with my boy Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith has a podcast tomorrow. The podcast is called Aaron Smith Can't Lose. It's also on the Flow Empire Network. I'm performing it with him at the Broadway Comedy Club. This 5-3. The Broadway Comedy Club is 38 West 53rd Street. It is on the corner of 8th Avenue and West 53rd Street. It's going to start at 8 p.m. and the tickets is going to be $20 with a 2-drink minimum. So any of you individuals that want to come watch me perform stand-up comedy, you can do so. Just come 15 minutes early. Okay? Down the line, I'm going to open up a Cash App. So if anybody wants to donate to my show or donate to me for me to create this content for you guys to listen to, you can do so. Alright, thank you very much, and you enjoy your night. And next week, we're going to talk about why certain black men and certain black women in the community is against interracial relationships. Thank you. You enjoy your night.